Bear in mind that even if you're inviting them to something free, nothing's actually free. It still costs them time, and they're not going to invest it in you if you're just some random stranger sending them a pitch.
Well, hello and welcome back to the Amanda Kaufman Show. I am so excited to introduce you to my friend Stephanie O'Brien. So Stephanie did such a good job of connecting with me in a really authentic and connecty kind of a way. She helps coaches with their package design, with showing up, with their networking in a way that is really, really powerful. And I invited her. I said, let's talk about it on the podcast. She applied, and here she is. Thank you so much for joining us, Stephanie. How are you doing today?
Hey, you're very welcome. I've been doing good. It's been a busy season. We're getting ready to put in the garden, just constructed a greenhouse, working on revamping my site. Lots of great stuff going on, but I'm always happy to take the time to share these strategies with the people who need them.
I love it. That's so good. So Stephanie, I love asking people, what drew you to the business that you're in now? Why help coaches?
Because once I started meeting them, I was actually originally a fiction writer, but once my mom got into coaching, I went with her to learn how to use my fiction writing for nonfiction. I just fell in love with coaches as I met them. All these amazing people who are trying to be their best selves, live their best lives, get past all the mental crap that keeps people just on autopilot and letting life happen to them as opposed to shaping their lives. All these people who are trying to do such amazing things in the world. But I did find as I was meeting them, sometimes they were kind of too educated for their own good. So they'd say stuff like, I'll help you shift your paradigms, or using all this jargon that, because I was starting to get familiar with the coaching world, I understood on an intellectual level what they were talking about, but it didn't really resonate emotionally. And I knew that if people didn't have that background, they wouldn't understand what the heck the coach was talking about, or even if they had a surface knowledge, they wouldn't connect it with a result that's worth paying for. So I kind of started to become the universal translator, helping coaches to translate coach speak into layperson speak, and to talk in terms of what the clients actually want and understand and care about, so they'd be motivated to buy instead of just going, oh, that's nice, dear.
Yeah, goodness. Yeah, that is a crushing thing to hear when you're a coach and you've worked so hard. And I'm laughing because, that's definitely been my experience as well. Like typically somebody who pursues coaching and building an expert business, they do have the expertise. They are really smart. And the disconnect that can happen, and also the doubt that people really want to hear about it. Like if you're really geeky or nerdy on a topic, it can be kind of hard to believe that you can actually speak in such a way that causes people who have not had your lived experience, that are outside of your normal bubble of connection, would be really interested. So yeah, that makes a ton of sense. So I'm just so curious too, like for you, has a coach ever made a big difference in your life? Like how did coaching impact you?
I've had several coaches who made big impact in my life. Brenda Normand was the one who first introduced me to marketing and to explaining things in these results-oriented ways that people could actually picture and feel themselves experiencing. Ted McGrath connected me with a lot of the people who I'm still in touch with to this day through his conferences. One was actually a relationship coach, Barry Price. He helped me get past a lot of the negative emotions and the baggage that I had from being one of those kids who struggled to make friends. I was always the one contacting my friends. I honestly need to put air quotes by them. I was always the one contacting them to ask, hey, do you want to hang out? And I almost never got a reciprocal invitation, and they usually said no. So I had a lot of baggage, and he helped me work past that, see how I was perpetuating these patterns in my life, pushing people away, only attracting the people who needed me more than they wanted me. So he really helped a lot with helping me to be more emotionally stable, not take things as personally when people were busy, all of which was good for romantic relationships and such, but also was integral for my business.
Yeah, absolutely. I started the Coaches Plaza years ago, and when I'm introducing myself to other entrepreneurs and so on, I often say I'm a cleverly disguised relationship coach, because so much of being successful as an expert and being successful in business really is predicated on how you interact with people and how they respond to you in kind, and your ability to generate those high quality relationships and show up powerfully in them. I'm so curious, like, based on what you've learned so far, like what do you see as maybe the top 3 things that a coach should keep in mind when they want to be really successful in putting themselves out there. You mentioned, the connecting with the lay person or the person who hasn't been through their coaching experience before. What would you tell them?
I'd say one of the big things that almost everybody who tries to connect with me fails at, set yourself aside. You need to set yourself apart from the hordes of people who are trying to pour into their inbox, and it's really actually not that hard, because most of the people I get friends requests from, my initial response is, who the heck are you? And my response after scrolling through their feed is still, who the heck are you? So when you're first connecting with someone, please let them know why you're connecting with them, and don't make it a sales pitch. Don't let it be, hey, I want you to invite you, I want coaching. Do you need this? Do you need that? Do you want to be in my Facebook group? Because that is a perfect way to make someone feel like you're treating them as a number. Like you haven't even checked to see if they need what you're offering yet. So make it more personal and less pitchy. Like, hey, I noticed you in so-and-so group we're both in. I love what you said in your post about so-and-so. I'd like to talk with you about so-and-so. Make it specific. Make it personalized. Don't make them scroll through your feeds trying to figure out who the heck you are or why you're connecting with them. And bear in mind that even if you're inviting them to something free, nothing's actually free. It still costs them time, and they're not going to invest it in you if you're just some random stranger sending them a pitch. That's one big thing to keep in mind, to just make your introductions personal. That alone will set you apart from just about everyone who's trying to contact me these days.
Yeah.
I don't make it like
I love that. I call that pitch placement, right? Because at some point you are going to need to make the pitch, but there's a very big difference between, like you said, opening with the pitch. I call that pitch slapping, right?
I like that.
And appropriately pitching, so I'm so curious, like, when you consider the timing, like, when is it the right time to invite somebody to have a deeper conversation, get on the calendar, ask something of them? What's the best time to do that?
I'd say when they've expressed a need for it. If you just, or if you've got something time sensitive, you could say, hey, I've got this thing. Like once you've talked with them a little bit, you could say, hey, I've got this thing coming up. Does this sound like is something you or someone you know could use? But yeah, I wouldn't make it my first couple contacts. I wouldn't make it my first couple messages. Start to get to know them a bit as a person first. And don't use a generic, hey, I love your profile or I love your content. Because most of the people who say that, in my experience, they have no idea what my profile or content is. Especially when they ask, hey, I love your profile, so what do you do? Yeah. If you'd read my profile, you would know that. You would not have asked that question. So yeah, don't do generic stuff like that. Do something actually, here, I read your post about so-and-so, and here's what I loved about it. Something specific to show you actually read the thing.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned, like, something that can help is having the thing to invite them towards. What do you recommend that people do in that regard? Like, is it speaking engagements, workshops? Like, is there a particular thing you found works the best?
I like to tailor it to the individual person. Somebody has expertise that I think my audience could use. I invite them to an interview swap. If I notice they're struggling in an area that I help them with, I invite them to a breakthrough session. If they're struggling in an area that a friend of mine can help with, I invite them to, I ask them if they want me to connect them with my friend. So, there isn't really one blanket thing. It depends on their needs. And I think that's the big difference between, pitch slapping and genuinely helping people with your offers, is that they've expressed a need and that you're offering something that's tailored to the need they've expressed.
I'm so curious, like, how many hours a day do you think this method takes, or this approach?
It depends. It depends on, how big an audience you already have, how much you need to spend time building up that audience. Some people I know only take like an hour or so on social media, or even less than that a day. And some people do more. So it kind of depends how many people you already have in your audience to reach out to, how much you want to build up the audience, and how fast you want to scale, and how effective your messaging is. The more effective your messaging is, the fewer people you have to reach to get the number of clients you need.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the feed a couple of times. So what are some really good things for people to keep in mind in terms of their social content?
For one thing, disable other people's ability to tag you in posts and have it automatically appear on your profile, because I've seen a few people who their whole profile is a wall of keto spam. Nothing tastes as good as thin feels, and their own message gets completely buried. Another is you have a fair number of posts that actually talk about what you do, because another mistake I often see people make is it's just this wall of vague inspiration stuff, most of which is probably just quotes they pulled from the internet. And even after scrolling through their feed, I can't tell what they do or what the problem they solve or what benefit they give. So we have some posts that are really relevant to, here's the problem I solve, here's how I solve it, here's how I can help you. Mm-hmm. When people can quickly and easily see what you do, who you help, and how, the right people are going to be a lot more attracted to you.
Why do you think people don't just do this? Like, what do you see as being some of the obstacles that coaches generally are facing, that they are producing pretty generic content, or they are allowing people to post on their behalf on their walls? Like, why do people do that?
I'd say when I first started out, I didn't really know what to post, and it was just plain a lack of knowledge and experience. Some people had given me some frankly bad advice about what to post that wasn't really tailored to me, so I was just posting some of these, generic questions, or polls, or inspirational quotes, stuff that wasn't actually that tailored to my business. So it could just be inexperience and bad advice they've gotten from other people.
Okay. So what are you looking forward to in your business right now for you?
One thing I'm working on that I'm really happy about is I'm revamping my website and my offer stack to be more focused on some of my more popular offers. I've previously been offering done-for-you coaching program creation and coaching for teaching people how to do coaching program creation. What I've actually found is the most helpful for my clients is when I just do done with you, and we just get on the call and get it done right there on the call, instead of me telling them how to do it, then they have to do it afterward, or I have to do it afterward. By the end of the call with done with you, it's done by the end of the call.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's
working
really cool.
on
That's really exciting.
Yeah, thank you.
How did you discover
it's a lot more efficient.
How did you discover that was the next thing you want to focus on?
Just experience, actually. I was getting on a call with people and just asking them questions I was planning to do done for you service afterward, where I just created afterward, and I ended up asking so many questions during the call and realizing, what, I'm just basically making it in the program on the call right here, so why not just roll with what's actually working? And I almost stumbled into it just from experience of what my clients ended up liking.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think there's a really good lesson in there for anybody listening, that if you just get into game and you start with your best guess of what your program or your offering should be, you're going to get a lot of really good intel and information about what really, really works for you and how you want to show up. I love it. So
Absolutely.
If there was like one thing that you wished that more coaches really knew to be more successful, what's that one thing?
I think a big thing is, the thing I was touching on earlier, is treat the people you're connecting with like people, not like prospects. Don't go straight into pitching them. Don't go straight into asking invasive questions that you frankly don't have the right to be asking at that stage. Just start connecting with them as people. Don't worry about having to get the sale every time or having to go straight to learning about their struggles. You can talk with them about life in general. I talk with them about their pets, their vacations, their family. This helps to build a foundation that will make them more open to buying from you and to talking with you about their problems, because they know that you see them as a person, not just as a prospect. This is probably the number one mistake that most of the people in my inbox make with me trying to pitch to me.
Excuse me. Yeah, I completely agree. I think there was definitely a stage in my business where I was scared to open my messenger, and it was because I just knew it was just filtering a bunch of pitches. And I always try to remember an inbox is a convenient organization system for other people's agendas. And so it's so important as a coach and as a role model that we are setting that standard. And that's not to say you should leave your inbox to, never be visited again, which was a strategy I tried that's not so good, but rather just be thoughtful about what's probably in there. What are people probably wanting from you? What kind of connection are people wanting to have? And I use the example of our relationship, in fact, right? Because as I recall, one of us sent a friend request to the other person. I can't even really remember, but we started doing a little bit of dialogue and back and forth. And when I found out what you were doing with your business, I just really remember this. When I learned that, I was like, well, the best way that I can help you is probably, and I give you a couple of ways. And, so then you were able to take an action that was awesome for you. And here we are, right? We're on a podcast, We're making some content together. We're having high quality conversation. I think that years ago, I didn't have a lot of guests for podcasts. I didn't have a lot of opportunities for collaboration. I didn't have as many people coming into my inbox for the quote unquote right reasons, which of course would be to buy something or to collaborate in some way. I wasn't getting that inbound flow. And what I realized is that I had put a huge wall up because I was so scared of terrible pitches. Now, just on the terrible pitch thing, anybody listening, you don't have to answer any of them. There's no have to in this business at all. You don't have to do this business. But if you are committed to success, connection is absolutely key. So, Stephanie, what do you recommend somebody do if they are really committed to building more connection, making this more of a priority, increasing their consistency? Like they're signed up. They really want to be successful with connecting with others. What's their next big move?
A strategy I get onto some networking calls. I've actually got a list. If people want to say DM me on Facebook, I can send them the list of networking events I'm in. So I go to these networking events and I pay special attention to three certain types of people. One obviously is potential clients who might need my services. Another is people who provide what could be the step before me in my client's journey, who might then, once their clients are done working with them, might send them on to me. And the third is people who handle the step after me in the client's journey, who might sometimes run into clients who aren't ready for their services and who need those prerequisite steps. For example, let's say someone helps people sell their program on stage. Well, if the person doesn't have a program to sell, they can't help, so they could refer that person to me, I get them ready, and then send them back. So those are the three types of people I really, thank you, those are three types of people I really pay attention to on networking calls.
Absolutely. I think it is widely understood that, referrals are a great source of business, and so is networking. But I really liked your breakdown of it's particularly business partners who, and I like that idea of the before and the after of the overall journey. That's clever. That's really cool.
Thank you.
So, Stephanie, how can people follow you?
The best way is on Facebook. The link should be with the show notes. So it's easy to find, easy to click. And feel free to send me a DM if you want to connect.
I love it. I understand you have a free resource that might be really useful for them if they send you a message.
Yeah, it's called How to Pick a Coaching Topic That Sells, and it focuses on practical strategies for getting into groups, networking in them, being actually welcomed and coming across as a person who wants to help instead of just a pitch bot, and connecting with people in a way that makes them want to talk with you about their problems, their needs, their desires, and how you could help them, as well as questions you can ask to get more information about that. So you can use that to pick your coaching topic, pick your selling and teaching points, and generally connect with people in a way that's relevant to their desires. So if you want that, you can feel free to DM me with coaching topic, and I'll know to send it to you.
It's really cool. Thank you so much. It's very generous, Stephanie. And thank you so much for joining me on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me and for asking such great questions.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. And dear listener, make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss another episode. And go ahead and forward this episode to maybe you have one or two or even three friends that are building a coaching business and they want to get some real traction. Make sure they're listening to this show because we talk about a lot of different strategies that are going to move them forward. And I love some of the things that Stephanie was talking about some of the insights on the networking and what you can do there, and very specifically building relationships that count and that really matter. And of course, if you love the episode, go ahead and leave us a review because that helps people make the decision to choose our show among all of the different shows that they could choose. And we really appreciate every single review that we get. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you in another episode. And until then, make sure you do what matters.